Without further ado, let us all give a warm round of applause to Dr. Edister de la Santa.
Um, in the next 30 minutes, I hope I will be able to talk to you about sustainability and partnerships. So some ideas why they are linked together, and then how we can study partnerships towards sustainability through a policy learning lens, and then focus on the application of policy learning as a lens to understand the situation in the Batanes protected landscapes and seascapes. Kasi we've been involved in Batanes since 2019, no, monitoring the sustainability of tourism and hospitality in those islands. And today we'll try to make sense of what we've learned, so far from the lens of policy learning. And then I'll propose some areas for research. No? I'll try to define a tourism policy implementation model, based on what we've learned so far and based on previous works on policy learning. Offer some specific hypotheses on learning that we can pursue, and perhaps encourage others to look at in the future. And then some concluding remarks before we go to the Q&A. Okay po. So, what do we know about sustainability, particularly the sustainable approach to tourism planning? Now, according to Michael Hall, if we use a sustainable tourism approach to tourism planning, then the tourism planning problem can be defined in the following ways. First, we have to understand the tourism system. In other words, we have to look at the actors, institutions, forces that shape the tourism system. A key problem would be to understand coordination between public and private sectors. How we can encourage cooperation and integration among different control systems. Crucially, we also have to understand the political dimensions of tourism because we now accommodate various actors and the interest they bring into the table. Okay, so yung mga values na dinadala nila doon, kailangan din natin aralin. And therefore, we cannot escape studying the political dimensions of tourism. So here I highlight two key ideas, yung coordination and cooperation. Okay? In terms of methods and models, this is how Michael Hall says it. Using a sustainable approach to tourism entails using, these methods: strategic planning, getting stakeholder inputs, conducting environmental analysis and audits, and political economy and policy analysis. In terms of models, marami din tayong maaaring mapag-usapan. Kasama na dyan yung system models, again, studying links and relationships, environmental perceptions, kasi marami ka ng mga actors na kailangan i-consider, no? Business ecology, again, looking at the systems approach, the external environment, as well as how organizations learn. Okay? So, makikita po ninyo dito sa sustainable tourism approach yung ideya ng cooperation, collaboration among stakeholders, and studying their relationship with one another and how they learn, or must learn from each other to be able to achieve more sustainable outcomes. And therefore, that is the first point that we'd like to say, For sustainable outcomes, learning among partners and collaborators is important. Okay. Now, Ano naman po yung learning? Ano naman nangyayari doon? Okay, now when we think of learning, this is how some scholars explain the matter. Okay, learning, of course, in a collective context, again, yung ideya na collaboration and working together, okay? So it occurs in a collective context involving a process of information acquisition, translation, and dissemination of knowledge. Okay? And later on, you will see the various modes by which learning occurs and the factors that shape learning at the individual level and at the institutional level. Okay? Now, Weibull and other scholars further explain that learning involves the examination of the process of learning, how it occurs. Basically, this involves identification of factors that shape learning, okay, the relationship of those factors with one another, including the order in which they occur in a process, no matter how hypothetical it is, as well as investigating the outcomes of learning. Okay, so ano ba yung mga outputs na lumalabas, ano yung mga changes in behavior that happens when learning happens, including the reinforcement of existing beliefs. And po, ano? And so, again, I'm talking about yung mga theoretical aspects of learning here, to set the stage for its application, konting application doon sa experience natin sa Batanes. Now, ano ba ang learning or policy learning specifically? Okay? Well, there are many definitions of learning. There are many notions regarding what it is. But today, I will share to you these definitions of learning that have stuck with me since I started thinking about this. This is actually the first time that I've been talking about learning. I used learning as an important component of my research way back mga 2008, 2009. Tagal na. But then, after writing some a major research back then, I forgot, itong idea ng learning. I used some other concepts in my research until si Dean Van and I decided to use this framework in 2022. So, noon lang ulit namin binalik yung idea ng learning in my research. But these definitions have really struck my mind and has remained with me. Ang sabi ni Hecklo noong 1974 in his work on social policy in Britain, sabi niya, learning is men puzzling what to do. Okay? Puzzling what to do. So thinking, ano ba ang dapat natin gawin when we are confronted with problems. Si Sabache, who pioneered the idea of policy learning with Hank Jenkins, offered a definition that's less difficult to operationalize. Okay? So sabi niya, learning is relatively enduring alterations of thought or behavioral intentions that result from experience and are concerned with the attainment or revision of policy objectives. Ayan, yung idea niya na ito actually is incorporated in a much larger framework he calls the Advocacy Coalitions Framework. Okay? And in that framework, yung learning, while it's important, it's actually just secondary to power and politics, as you will hear later. Now, ano pa po yung ibang idea on learning? Okay, learning, according to scholars from the public policy literature, could be exogenous or endogenous. Yung exogenous learning ay maaaring kumbaga makuha, yung idea noon ay ay pwedeng ma-capture ng social learning, okay, government learning, lesson drawing, or policy transfer. Ang ibig sabihin nun, you're learning from the external environment. No? Yung lesson drawing, for example, ay learning from a different place or time. Okay, so for example, yung mga taga-Bohol, no? When they were doing thinking about tourism back in the early 2000s, they were actively saying we don't want another Boracay. Okay, hindi pa nangyayari yung closure ng Boracay at the time, but may mga environmental problems na at na narinig, no? At least yung mga mas matatanda sa room ngayon, ano? Ay mababasa na, malalaman na yung mga issues about Boracay at that time. Okay, so maraming mga local destinations actually nagsasabi no? They wanted to avoid the fate of Boracay. That is lesson drawing, no? You're applying what you know, no, from a different place or time, no? Pwedeng sa nakalipas. Okay? Pwedeng abroad, okay? Tapos i-apply mo yung lessons sa inyong context. That is lesson drawing or social learning. Okay? Or policy transfer, no? According to Dolowitz and Marsh. In terms of modalities, you talk about classic conditioning or incremental conditioning. No? Ito yung mga Pavlovian terms associated with educational psychology. No? So how do we learn? No? So si Pavlov mentioned classic conditioning. Okay, yung if you will recall, yung aso, no, tinuturuan mag-respond to command, no? So that's classic conditioning. Now, in terms of public policy research, ang sinasabi doon ay incremental minor changes in policy. Yung classic conditioning. Yung instrumental naman is responding more to external stimuli. Okay, environmental influence. Okay, now yung policy learning, oriented learning, okay, ay if you think about it, you can actually combine, ano, yung mga ideas. For example, yung social learning can be divided into three generally according to Hall. No? Technical learning, conceptual learning, at saka social learning. No? In terms of the ideas by Sabache and Jenkins, yung technical learning ay about changing policy settings, instruments, or techniques. Okay? So yun yung pinaka-basic sa lahat. No? You accept current conditions. Okay? If you want to change something, you just change little details. No? Parang halimbawa, yung presyo ng bigas, gusto mong i-alleviate. Okay? Tanggalin mo lang yung halimbawa yung ano ba yung huling ginawa ni President Marcos? Yung tax, no? Sa pag-import ng bigas. But the idea of taxation remains. Medyo tinanggal lang. Okay? O di kaya ay i-adjust mo yung tuition, no? Para yung mga teachers mo mas tumaas ang sweldo, no? Mag-increase ka lang ng 5% instead of 10%. So those little changes, yun yung sinasabi natin, changes in policy setting, instruments, or techniques. You don't change much, no? The system in place. However, if you change the goals, this is where you change this is now what we call conceptual learning. And then when there's a paradigm shift, okay, you change the governance structure and promote horizontal communication, ito na yung sinasabing social learning. Okay? But then we are simplifying things here. No? There are a lot of challenges as you move from technical to conceptual to social, and the process is not easy. Okay? you can actually be mired in some intractable problems that will um, prevent you from moving, no, to the next stage. Okay? So halimbawa, gusto mong magbago ng goals, no? Pero there are forces that's preventing you, no, from achieving those goals because, for example, of institutional infirmities or broader socio-cultural conditions, no, like paternalism. So medyo challenging yung move from conceptual learning to social learning. Okay? We are simply trying to define, okay, right now, yung difference based on these parang indicators. Okay? But again, it is not a smooth process. Okay? Now, some other perceptions or perspectives on learning from our scholars is that knowledge, okay, derives from reactions to external events and the assimilation of new information about the world. Okay, so sabi ni Kearney. In other words, we learn, no, from how we perceive the world, how we interpret the world, and how we think it affects us. Okay? Also, learning is updated in the direction of the information because of the processing and weighting of the information and is a function of the strength of the prior belief and of the information signal. That's according to Nolan. Ano ibig sabihin ito? If we believe, for example, that tourism can affect the environment in a negative way in the long run, and we are confronted by more evidence about this, then we will be more convinced about the negative impacts of tourism on the environment. Okay? Kasi yun yung, doon ang gagaling yung information na ini-interpret natin. Okay? Yun yung point dito, ano? So actually, it leads to some very interesting questions that we can discuss later on. Okay? Halimbawa, ano ba ang direction ng learning? No? How do we know that learning has occurred? No? And it has affected policies, no? Particularly changes in policies. Okay? Is it always in the direction of the information, or can it occur in the opposite direction? Yan, maaari po nating pag-usapan yan. So yung mga theoretical implications, no, ng mga ganyang mga statements, maganda po nating pag-isipan yan. No? Tingnan natin kung may apply natin sa ground, may validate natin. Okay? Next is that traditionally, okay, learning is assumed as having a minor role in policy making, because it must always take place within structures that want or maintain the authority to allocate values within the community. Okay? Ang ibig ko sabihin ito ay, kumbaga, in the general scheme of things, and you're talking of policy changes, you're talking about what shape policy formulation, learning takes a secondary role. Okay? Because the primary driver of change, according to these scientists, is, well, power and politics. Okay? So yun, no? Yun nga yung sinasabi niya, ano? It must always take place within the structures that reform. Sino ba ang nanalo sa eleksyon? Ano ba ang gusto ng taong yun nung tumatakbo siya? Huh? Katulad ni Trump, for example, nung sa US, nililigtad niya ang napakaraming bagay. Was there learning there? Wala. What you have was a change in leadership because there was an election. There was a change, no, in the power structure. Okay? And it is actually captured by this advocacy coalition framework model by Sabachain and Jenkins Smith, no? Where they delineated, no? This is not the representation of the model itself, but here the influence, no, of first external shocks, internal shocks, okay, two major changes in policy is traced, no, differently from the influence of knowledge. Okay? So ano po ang sinasabi dito? Again, yung knowledge is seen only to affect secondary beliefs, leading only to minor changes. Okay? External shocks, internal shocks, negotiated agreements, yun yung mga changes in, for example, constitutional structure, okay? Nagkaroon ka ng bagong governing coalition as a result of elections, okay? Yan yung nagkakaroon ng major changes sa policy. Okay, so siguro I'll explain a bit ano ba yung core beliefs, policy core beliefs at saka secondary beliefs. Okay? Yung isang feature ng model na yan, yung advocacy coalitions framework, is that ang sinasabi niya, values can be mapped, okay, can be mapped. Public policies pala, no? Are reflections of values, okay? And then these values that lead to certain beliefs can be mapped, okay? Ngayon, yung deeply held values, okay? For example, our cultural values, okay? Those are what we call your deep core beliefs. And then they cut across policy issues. Okay? So for example, here in the university, no? Ano ba ang ating belief dito? Honor and excellence. That is at the heart of everything that we do. Okay? Or must do here in the university. Yan yung ating deep core belief. Ano yung translation niyan sa policy core beliefs natin? Well, that could mean that to uphold our honor and excellence, yung values that we hold here, then that means that we must, for example, to maintain excellence, we must recruit the best students and faculty. Okay? So yun. You recruit the best student and faculty. Yun yung policy core belief. Ano yung secondary beliefs? Well, ito yung mga instruments, no, that you put in place. So for example, you might want to offer a reward system, no? For anyone who will be able to publish a paper, you give some rewards. Okay, anyone who will graduate with, who will have high grades, you give Latin honors. Yung mga ganon, no? And so you will see na mayroong hierarchy. Okay, you start with deep core beliefs, okay, that govern all activities, and then policy core beliefs, and then secondary beliefs. Again, ang argument is that the major changes in policy comes from external shocks and internal shocks. Okay, yung mga halimbawa, nagpalit ng tao, nagpalit ng presidente, okay? Pero yung knowledge, yung mga natutunan mo about the workings of the world, about the workings of society, they only lead to secondary changes, okay, in policy. Okay? Now, some other perspectives, okay, in terms of policy learning, okay? Ito yung mga factors naman, conducive to policy learning, forum attributes. So, ano ba yung venue in which people interact with one another? Is it characterized by a high degree of openness? No? Ano ba yung kanilang ways of knowing or producing knowledge? Yung epistemology. No? Is it the same with one another? Do they believe both in or do they all believe in evidence-based decision making, or pwedeng assumption lang mag-decide tayo? Okay? So yun po yun, no? What about social dynamics? No? Ang sabi ni Sabache and Jenkins, if the level of conflict is high, learning is less likely to occur. Okay? What about the characteristics of the stimuli? The type of information available, the tractability of the problem. If it's very intractable, very challenging, then that's not really very conducive to learning. Okay? And then finally, you have actor characteristics. No? And so therefore, what you have here is a list of factors found at the individual level and also at the more a higher level, no? Yung social dynamics, yung characteristics ng environment. Okay? Now, dahil dito sa features na ito ng policy learning, okay, it has been used in tourism sustainability research. So here, I just show you some papers that have used policy learning as an approach to understand tourism sustainability. No? So, si Islam et al. Did a study in Bangladesh, and they reinforced the idea that social learning was instrumental in building consensus following communicative actions, no? Such as debates among stakeholders. Meron din naman si Hofstadius and Moller in Sweden, who observed, no, that the social aspects involved in learning and sustainability are complex and intricate processes, particularly when conceptualized with spatial considerations in mind. And then, si Legazpi and De La Santa, no, noong 2022, wrote a paper where they found that the collaboration between state and non-state actors to resolve difficult problems, no, such as environmental degradation and other societal concerns, they found it to be important, even if, no, the non-state actors are motivated by more personal traditional values rather than really the need to alleviate, no, societal concerns. Okay? So, meron pong kumbaga basihan, no, itong ating paggamit ng policy learning sa tourism research. Okay? So, if you're looking for a way to justify using policy learning, ito po yun, no, yung mga justifications na yun. Now, let us try to apply these ideas in Batanes. Okay? As mentioned by Prof. Raymond Macanas earlier, we've been involved in monitoring the sustainability of tourism and hospitality in the island since 2019. Okay, now, paano po natin pinili yung Batanes? Bakit po natin siya consider as a research site? There are actually many reasons why we chose Batanes. It has a strong natural and cultural heritage. It's the home of the Ibatans. And truly it has unique flora and fauna that has led to its inscription in the UNESCO World Heritage Tentative List, no, in the 1990s. I think it was 1993. Okay? And it is a protected area. Okay? And an ancestral domain. It's unique in the Philippines. Walang ibang probinsya sa Pilipinas na ganyan ang katangian. You have protected areas in other provinces, but just selected barangays or municipalities, not the entire province. But Batanes is a protected area in its entirety. Okay, so yung buong nakikita po ninyo sa mapa na yan, protected area. Bukod doon, ancestral domain pa. Okay? Again, yung ibang mga probinsya ay ancestral domain, no, pero portions lang. Ito, talagang total. So, ano siya? 100% yung overlap. Okay? Kaya, may mga unique challenges ang Boracay as an island. Okay? Now, prior to the pandemic, it had a fast-growing industry with visitor volume 3 times the total population. Okay? So, mabilis. As you will see in the graph later, prior to the pandemic, siguro mga 5-6 years leading to 2019, ang average annual growth nila was 58%. No? So, imagine growing on a yearly basis at 50%. Mabilis yun. Napakabilis. No? So, yun po ang naramdaman nila. Kaya, they were very concerned about the impacts on their culture, on their natural environment. But then, like many other LGUs, yung assessment ng tourism impacts doon was not really very systematic. Okay? So, when we had the opportunity to propose monitoring the sustainability of tourism and hospitality in a particular destination, doon po kami pumunta sa Batangas. Ayan, ako po. Okay. Doon nga po sa pagkakabanggitin kanina sa introduction ay we've been monitoring the sustainability since 2019, and what we did po was to form a research group, no? Kasama po natin dyan yung ibang professors dito sa UP Diliman. Mamaya makikita po ninyo yung picture. Pati mga partners sa Batanes, no? Yung provincial government, yung Batanes State College, at saka iba pang mga opisina doon. Okay? And this is what we did, no? From 2019, mga stakeholders mapping, 2020 ay signing ng mga MOA, okay? 2020 yan, early part, bago mag-pandemic, ano? Yan po ang aming mga ginawa. And then, even during the pandemic, we were conducting meetings with the local technical working group. When work was resumed, when travel was resumed in the islands, okay, nakapag-identify po kami doon, well, even before pa pala, no, bago pa mag-close, nakapag-identify na kami ng priority issue areas, yung po governance, resident satisfaction, solid waste management, and then yung data po ay kinolekta namin, baseline data, noong pandemic. Okay? At nagpapatuloy po yan hanggang sa kasalukuyan, no? And then 2022, 2023, we continued the data collection and identified further issue areas for monitoring, including cultural integrity and biodiversity, no? And then ang focus po namin ngayon with the current round of support from the university ay economic benefits, tourism seasonality, at saka wastewater management. And then, sa mga susunod pong pagkakataon ay yung climate change, accessibility, energy, water management, at saka energy. So this will complete our commitment to the International Network of Sustainable Tourism Observatories to monitor all these issue areas. Na po. In Batanes. Kasi we were accepted as a member noong 2023. Okay. So ito po yung Batanes Tourism and Hospitality Monitoring Center. Ito po yung vision and objectives that we've agreed with the stakeholders. And in the picture, you will see members of the research team from UP Diliman. So, po yan, nandyan. Tapos yung pong kasama namin si VP Ogie, Resurrection, si Professor Tumanan, si Professor Jola, at saka si Professor Saibel Putalan. Mga engineers po yan, no? At saka taga-College of Home Economics. And then dito sa bandang baba po, yung mga iba pang mga kasama, si Professor Edwin Barrientes from the College of Social Sciences and Philosophy. Ibatan po siya, no? At siya po ay anthropologist, and then some partners from Batanes State College and the provincial government of Batanes. Kasama na po dyan yung tourism officer ng Batanes. So yan po, ano. And then we are assisted by a much larger technical working group formed by the governor, no, of the province. Okay. So, ano po ang application naman ngayon ng policy learning dyan sa Batanes? Here we start looking at how policy learning may be applied in the experience of Batanes. No? And I'd like to start by laying out the foundations of policy learning in Batanes. Kasi these laws have really shaped the fortunes, the misfortunes, no, of Batanes. Okay? 1992 po yung approval ng NIPAS Act. Batanes was included in the list of protected areas in 1994, no? Noong lumabas yung kumbaga ay batas na yan, no? That law created an integrated protected area system in the Philippines. Okay po, of course, ang intention is to conserve our natural resources. And it created the Protected Area Management Board as the highest policy-making body in protected areas, including Batanes. In 1997, yung ICRA law, ano ba itong meaning niya? Indigenous People's Rights Act. Okay, thank you, sir. Indigenous People's Rights Act, ayan, covers Batanes at yun nga, the entire province becomes an ancestral domain area. Okay, and crucially, yung law na yan, talagang recognized elders, no? As decision makers. So hindi lang yung yung formal government structure, no, yung mga mayor, governor, pati elders ay kasama. Even if they don't occupy formal positions. Okay? And then BPLR's law was enacted in 2000, further cementing the protected area status of the entire islands. 2009, yung Tourism Act that allowed the province to name tourism officers. And 2018 expanded the NIPAS Act. The expanded NIPAS Act increases the membership of the PAMBI. Kung dati po, sa NIPAS Act originally, 10 lang ang minimum members ng PAMBI. Sa expanded NIPAS Act, minimum 17 ang members. So lumaki po yung members. May impact po yun doon sa lumalabas na na resolutions, pati yung dynamics doon sa ng decision making sa protected area. Okay? Okay. So this is how we understand learning in Batanes. This is based on the records of the Protected Area Management Board in terms of the resolutions. We've analyzed resolutions that have come out from 1994 to 2003. No? Although ang in-analyze lang natin yung first 10 years at saka yung 2013 to 2023. Okay? And what we'd like to argue is that initially, yung first 10 years of tourism, of protected area in Batanes, was all about technical learning, no, on protected area. Okay, kasi it was very new for them. Okay? So initial years was first order learning as gleaned from protected area management. When we look at the resolutions, the keywords there were management, conservation, and biodiversity. So yun po yung mga keywords. No? Followed by rules, law, compliance, and plan. So parang talagang malinaw na ang sinasabi, we have to really put control mechanisms in place. So that in the end, the people of Batanes will know what is and what is not bawal. Yun po yung question sa kanila. Okay? At yung pong picture dyan ay nagpapakita ng mga ano yung bawal kuhanin, ano yung bawal ilabas sa Batanes, no? Nung nga pong first time na pumunta kami doon, bumili ako ng maliit na halaman, yung Arius ang tawag nila. I had to fill out forms, no? Para lang maisakay ko sa aeroplano. Okay po, hindi ka basta-basta pwedeng maglabas at magpasok ng ano doon, halaman at saka mga hayop. Okay, so yun nga, yun ang issue. What is and what is not bawal. Words po nila yan, no? Doon sa kanilang management plan. Tourism, didn't really figure very much in the resolutions. It was first mentioned in 1997 when the protected area superintendent wanted to work with the LGUs on the collection of visitors' fees. Okay, but there was no systematic statistical record of tourism activities. Ang record actually nag-start 2011. No, nung nagkaroon ng tourism officer, no? Well, nagkaroon ng tourism officer designate pala ng 2003, but yung office 2010 nag-start. Okay? Ang ideya nila ng tourism doon ay within the normal lifestyle and economic activities in the area. Okay? In other words, not really a driver of economic growth as the RA, as the Tourism Act wanted tourism to be. Okay? So, the protected area for DPLS is for public enjoyment, okay, through recreation and tourism within the normal lifestyle and economic activities in the area. Okay, yan po yung nakalagay doon sa kanilang resolution. Okay? Now, ano po ang nangyari noong naging nung tinignan namin na mas maigi yung data. So we skipped the analysis. We jumped to this period, no, where tourism was starting to grow. Okay, it started to grow mga 2013, 2014. Okay, and so that by 2018, 2019, ang tanong na ay, in terms of tourism, ay what controls can be set to manage growth, okay, while mitigating negative impacts such as food insufficiency, congestion, and solid waste. Malaking issue po yung food insufficiency because food sufficiency is only at 45%. Meaning to say 55% of food requirements have to be imported. Okay? Bigas, bangus, yan po lahat ay i-import, no, from outside. Okay? Kamote lang ang hindi, tsaka yung gulay. Ayun po, no? Congestion is a big problem. And hindi masyadong nakikita ng turista because we are blinded by our image of Batanes as very clean, pristine, solid waste. Yeah. Okay? And then, but that's not always how they define the problem. No? In 2021, during the pandemic, our question was, what can be done to prepare for the resumption of tourism activities? Okay? Kasi walang tourism eh. Walang pwedeng pumunta doon sa islands. Nag-close sila, binuksan lang nila noong 2023. Although pwede ka yung apor na tinatawag. Okay? Pero pag hindi ka apor, hindi ka pwedeng pumunta. So 2023 lang sila nag-resume no, yung middle of the year. And the question was, what can be done to prepare for the resumption of tourism activity? So they have training programs, okay, for village tours. And then 2024, the question became, how can tourism growth be recovered? Okay? Kasi they wanted to kumbaga, reclaim, okay, the numbers that they had prior to the pandemic. And this evolution of the problem can be, I think, illustrated by these numbers, no, from the island. So, if you will see, dito nagsimula yung systematic collection, 3,000 pa lang yan, 2011, yung tourist arrivals. Hanggang sa beginning ng 2013 to 2019, tumaas talaga eh. Yan po yung sinasabi ko kanina na average annual growth ay 58%. Okay? Tapos nung nagsara yung Boracay noong 2018, doon tumaas ng todo. 2018-2019. Okay? Pero even before that, tumataas na sa Batanes. Okay? So ang tanong ay, paano natin manage yung growth? Okay? And then, nawala, Noong 2021. Okay? Hanggang 2022. So ang tanong, what can we do? To prepare for the recovery? And then finally, nung dumating na yung opening in 2024, you will see na hindi siya naka-rebound immediately. In fact, ang arrivals nila ay malayo pa. Parang na-setback sila by almost 10 years. Okay, so will it take them 10 years to achieve this pre-pandemic levels? We don't know. But that's the problem, So yung mga issue nila noong pre-pandemic, nag-iba. If they were concerned about carrying capacity, kasi yung solid waste, food sufficiency, carrying capacity yun eh. Maingay na maingay yun noong 2019. Ngayon, hindi mo na narinig yung carrying capacity kasi ang daming capacity eh. Ang daming empty rooms. Okay? Hindi nila problema yung food. Hindi nila problema yung siksikan sa sasakyan. Kasi everybody can take a ride, a boat ride. Okay? So, yun po yung evolution ng problem. Okay? Now, some other questions are confronting those from the islands. In 2024, this is what we encountered. How can the geopolitical security of Batanes be ensured? Prior to the pandemic, wala pong ganyan. Okay? Maski na nagsasaber rattling ang China at saka Taiwan. But, in 2024, malinaw na malinaw po yung tanong. Okay? And then, there's this intractable problem. Ever since we started, hanggang ngayon, yan pa rin po ay pinag-uusapan. Yung usapin ng environmental protection versus cultural heritage development. Okay? Kasi ang tanong ay, what cultural practices can be exempted from the NIPAS Act? Kasi yung mga tao doon, hindi po basta-basta makapagputol ng puno or makapag-quarry kasi protected area. Bawal. Okay? So, paano mo ngayon i-maintain yung mga stone houses which is your representation of culture? Kita po niyo yung picture. Yan ang itsura ng mga stone houses. Yung sa kaliwa, pagbuo. Eh, pag hindi buo, yung walang bubong, nasira ng bagyo, hindi mo ma-repair. Kasi bawal mag-quarry, bawal magputol ng puno. So, always, may debate. So, ang tanong, what law takes precedence? Is it NIPAS Act or the IPRA? Okay? More importantly, for the common people doon, who have been living in Batanes, with Batanes as a protected area for the past 30, 40 years, is PA truly beneficial for the province? So, tinatanong na po nila yung sarili nila, beneficial ba ang pagiging protected area? Okay? So, ano po ang nangyari? Okay, they were of course asking those questions, interrogating themselves, learning from one another, and together, searching for strategies. Okay? So, on tourism and PA management, So, nagkaroon po sila ng Ecotourism Master Plan noong 2018. I highlighted lesson drawing kasi if you read the plan, meron doon mga references on avoiding the fate of Boracay. Okay? And then, BPLS Management Plan. So, meron po sila yan with tourism development as a key socio-economic strategy. and coming up with ancestral domain plans per municipality. So ang outcome po niyan, particularly this one, yung BPLS management plans, ay yung pagkakaroon ng mga resolutions on tourism, no? Na talagang dumami, no? Kung 10 years ago, beginning, konting-konti yung mga resolutions on tourism, you will see, no, habang tumataas yung tourism growth, dumadami yung resolutions on tourism. Nag-peak nga noong 2019 kasi maraming mga accommodations ang inihingi ng approval sa PAMPI, no? Para makapag-set up sila ng homestays, ng iba pa mga accommodation facilities to meet demand. Okay? Bakit naman mataas noong 2021? Kasi people were anticipating a return to the old days, no? Nung sarado sila, ano pa rin sila, i-invest pa rin sa accommodation. Kaya ngayon, ang dami nga nilang capacity, no? Spare capacity. Okay? And then, search for policy instruments. Ayan. So, may tourism code po, based yung mga bawat munisipyo, tinitingnan yung paggawa ng tourism code. Designate sila ng mga tourism officers. Six po yung municipality, sa ngayon po may 4 na, including yung sa provincial office. At yung sa provincial office department na hindi lang siya isang maliit na section. And then there's in-depth destination sustainability monitoring. Ayan po, I would like to believe that this is part of what we're doing, doon. So yung monitor ng mga sustainability issues. And then, search for strategies. Okay. Continuing po yan, yung finding new ways to deal with real-world situations, real-world problems. On security, working with national security apparatus to train reservists, craft scenarios, and monitor alleged spies. Imagine that. Ano po? Lalo na yung mga, galing sa China. Okay? Talagang tinatanong nila sinong binisita, ganyan, yung mga anong topic na napag-usapan, ganyan, no? Kasi nga po, yung position ng Batanes sa Pilipinas relative to Taiwan. Okay? At marami na pong reservists doon. Marami. No? Marami talaga. And then, use of quarry materials for personal use and construction of traditional houses. Nagkaroon na po ng ng konting linaw at least noong 2024. Pwede nang gamitin yung ilang quarry materials but only for personal use. Importantly, there's a section there on the use of quarry materials for the construction of traditional houses. Pero ito lang yung mga excess. No? Yung halimbawa galing sa Baguio, may extra kang na-wash na sand, pwede mong gamitin yun. Or naputol ng Baguio yung puno, pwede mong gamitin yun. Pero yung kukuha ka from the river, from the coastline ng Bago, tapos hindi mo pag-aari, state-owned yung lugar, hindi pwede. So very limited pa rin yung scope ng quarry doon sa Batangas. Okay po. And then, social learning, some indications of social learning is the expansion of policy subsystem. No? So, in 2024, nagkaroon po ng resolution to increase the PAMBI membership by adding a DOT representative. So, siguro dito lang yun sa Batanes makikita na kasama sa PAMBI ang DOT representative. Okay? And then yung Council of Elders in decision making, okay, doon sa isang munisipyo, for example, na declared as an ancestral domain. So meron na talaga silang CADP na tinatawag. Kailangan kausapin yung mga nakatatanda, no? Para sa mga development projects. Okay? And then, finally, yung changing mindset about the protected area. Kasi ang tagal-tagal na nilang protected area, uh, people are questioning the value of the protected area, no? Yung mga restrictions. So, now, they wanted to release specific areas from BPLS, protected area. No, tingnan niyo po kung gaano kalaki yung mga gusto nilang tanggalin. No, so hindi naman po ito, mga ano sample lang ito, dalawang ano lang, munisipyo lang, yung mga na-retrieve naming mga maps from our last consultation in February. So ito po yung Uyugan, isa dun sa 6 na munisipyo. Yan pong lahat na yan ay protected area according to the BPLS. Pero kapag ka matutuloy yung delisting, ang matitira lang na protected area yung verde. So more than half of the protected area will be reclassified. Okay? Malaki po, ano? Malaki yung gusto nilang space na gawing later on ay i-devote for other purposes. Okay? And then, yung isa pa, yung subtown, kung saan nandun yung napakaraming mga stone houses, yung nandun lang po sa gitna ang protected area from their proposal. All the rest ay for other uses in the future. So, is this an indication that they are really moving towards a different framework in terms of their development? Maybe. But who knows? Ano po? Will they be more sustainable? Will they be less sustainable? We don't know. Okay? But one thing is sure, they are now entertaining these thoughts. No, dati walang pong ganyan. Okay? So, from the case of Batanes, what do we know about policy learning? Yeah. So, summarizing what we know so far, external events and discourse come to the attention of actors. Okay? So, yung mga laws at saka yung mga underlying narratives dyan on sustainability come to the attention of actors. Actors, in turn, gain knowledge from external stimuli and cognitive workings of the mind. And as a result of external events, no, and new priorities being communicated, no, by external actors, resources may be devoted or allocated to respond to new learnings or to the new environment. And finally, solutions are identified from better knowledge of the problem and its parameters. Medyo reasonable naman po ang dating, ano? Now, these are the factors that we can identify from the cases. How do we put them all together in a model? Yan po yung ating iniisip. Okay? We can actually propose a model of sustainable tourism policy implementation. Okay? Kung saan yung external events and discourse, okay, shape the activities of actors, no? Through the distribution of resources, through the assimilation of knowledge of the actors, okay, leading to, again, political action or search for solution, policy change, and policy outcomes. Ito po ang pwede natin testingin, no? In the future. And in the process, perhaps we can look at some of the well-established policy-oriented learning hypotheses proposed by Sabache and Jenkins. So sabi nila, learning across coalitions is most likely when there is an intermediate level of conflict between coalitions. Okay? This requires technical resources, but crucially, the conflicts be between secondary aspects, not the deep core, or the core values. Okay? So, yeah. Yung kasunod po ay yung iba pa mga hypothesis on learning professional forums. Ito po ay galing doon sa Sabatini Jenkins. So, hindi ko na po yan titingnan. Ito po yung medyo nakakahiliti ng isip for me. No? Ito ang mga questions na itinanong ni Nolan in his 2024 paper. No? Is there a directional aspect of belief change? To constitute a change, do beliefs need to move in the opposite direction? Is that the only direction in which beliefs can move to be considered learning? So, yan po. So, halimbawa, doon sa situation ng Batanes, sabi ko nga, protected area versus cultural heritage. Okay? Pag yun ba mga tutulak ng cultural heritage ay nagpakita ng mas matinding evidence, no, na kailangan nila ng indigenous materials, kailangan nila magputo ng puno, mag-quarry, ganyan, ng korte. Will that change the mind of the officials from DENR who are very strict in implementing environmental protection laws? So yun po. So anong klaseng ng activity, no? How much change in the belief, no? Yung dapat mangyari para ma-consider natin, no, na mayroong substantial learning and policy change na nangyari. So yan po yung posible, no, na maaari natin i-investigahan. And I now realize actually that kasi nga hindi ko po ito masyadong pinapansin itong policy learning, sa aking pag-research sa Batanes until 2-3 weeks ago, when I started thinking about this, na we are actually very well placed to study these questions, no? Kasi we have groups, no, contending groups with very strong views. They talk in deliberative forums, no, share their views, and therefore we can actually track, no, yung mga policy outputs and policy changes, leading us to investigate these theoretical questions. Okay? So, in conclusion, finally, dalawa lang po gusto ko sabihin. Sustainability and partnerships can be analyzed through policy learning. Okay? And that policy learning offers an interesting and fertile research agenda, particularly how learning transforms institutions and individuals amid resilient practices. Okay? Well, of course, we should not forget, while we are talking about some other factors, we should not forget na there are other factors that may explain policy outcomes. Okay? And yun nga, yung learning ay minor pa nga minor pa, no, sa overall scheme of things. But can it assume a major role in explaining policy outputs and policy outcomes? Okay? Pwede bang magbago nga, no? Mas maging sustainable ang mga destinations by people, by stakeholders collectively wondering what to do, instead of waiting for, the right people, quote unquote, to come along and change the equation. Yeah. So yun po. Maraming salamat po sa inyong pakikinig at sana po ay nakapagbigay tayo ng konting idea for research in the future. Thank you very much, everyone.